Welcome, everyone, and hope you're having a great Sunday. Thank you for joining Congressman Troy Carter's Hurricane Ida Resources Roundtable. My name is Dimitri Mercadal, and I serve as the District Director for the Congressman. We are grateful you are here today. Panelists from FEMA, SBA, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers are present and will be taking talking to the audience and taking your questions. Please submit your questions to the chat box or in the comments section on Facebook. Be sure not to give us any of your personal information in this public dialogue chat area. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce Congressman Troy Carter, proudly representing Louisiana's 2nd Congressional District. Congressman, it's on to you.
Thank you, Dimitri. Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. I'm Congressman Troy Carter. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day and away from watching our New Orleans Saints game to join this event. It will primarily be a question and answer session, and I hope it is informative and helpful to you and your families. Hurricane Ida has been an enormous storm and brought with it a wide host of challenges. My staff and I have been working hard to help all of you, my constituents, access the benefits and support they need to recover from this storm. I've seen and been with many with boots on the ground, trying to help constituents access generators, water, food, ice, and working with our agencies and our parish elected officials to make our systems run better. I was also glad to join our United States President Joseph Biden, FEMA Administrator Griswold, and HUD Secretary Fudge on various tours and meetings in Southeast Louisiana. I think it's important that these leaders see what we're going through firsthand so that they can better support our rebuilding process, a process that dictates that we rebuild and we rebuild better. I'm also working in Congress to bring back funds for long-term investments to protect our communities from power outages and flooding. I'm thankful that these representatives from the 3 biggest federal agencies involved in the responses to Hurricane Ida are here with us today. And they can hear directly from you, the people. Again, if you have any questions for our panelists from FEMA, Small Business Administration, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, please type them into the chat box, and we will be sure to get those answers for you. Let me take this time to thank all of you, all of our constituents who have been struggling to get through this terrible storm. Let me also thank all of our agencies for their tireless efforts. We challenge them when they're wrong, and they're never wrong because they want to be wrong. The system just sometimes requires tweaking. But it's important that you know that all of these people are away from their homes, trying to make our homes safer. So understand, although we may get into tie-ups from time to time with various agencies, it's never personal. It's always about doing what's best for the people of Louisiana. Our panelists today are Juan Ayala, Gilbert Guerin, John Mills, Cynthia Wirtz from FEMA. I want to note that this agency distributes critical needs assistance, and the deadline to apply for this is rapidly approaching, September 22nd. Shashil Kumar from the Small Business Administration, which in terms of responding to Hurricane Ida primarily provides disaster loans. Colonel Zachary Miller from United States Army Corps of Engineers, of which their biggest role in human responses is running the Blue Roof program. Thank you very much to all of our panelists for being with us today. All of our audience members, please go ahead and ask your questions. And now I'd like to turn it over to our FEMA representatives for a brief 2-minute presentation.
Good afternoon, Congressman. Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak directly with your constituents. Thank you for the partnership of your office. We've been working 7 days a week with your staff to address constituent concerns and appreciate the opportunity, as I said, to speak to your constituents directly. Just want to remind folks to be sure and register for FEMA assistance. Don't disqualify yourself. Don't think, well, I'm not going to get anything. Take the opportunity, take the time to apply, go to disasterassistance.gov or call 1-800 621-3362 to register for FEMA assistance. That call center is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we're going to limit what we're saying. We're here just to answer your questions, and we want to maximize the amount of time we allow for questions. So we're not going to have any formal presentations. I do want our team to introduce themselves, if that's all right, Congressman. Gil, if you will introduce yourself, and Cindy and John, just briefly mention what it is you do, and then we can get to the next group and then with the questions. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having us. My name is Gilbert Guidon. I'm the Regional Flood Insurance Liaison. I work out of the Mitigation Division out of Region 6 in Denton, Texas. I'm here to answer any questions related to flood insurance. Our compliance concerns when it comes to the special flood hazard area are just questions in general about mitigation for more resilient, more sound, easy to rebuild structures. Thank you.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cindy Wurst. Thank you for the opportunity to be here with you today. I am with Community Education and Outreach. Our job is to work with individuals who are wanting to repair, retrofit, and rebuild safer and stronger. We can refer you to any of our hazard mitigation programs, whether it's our hazard performance analysis, as Gil mentioned, floodplain management insurance, or even our hazard mitigation assistance. We look forward to working with you and answering your questions, and I'm going to leave some information in the chat where you can reach us Monday through Friday, and you can also see our web content. Thank you for the opportunity.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm John Mills. I'm with FEMA's Incident Management Assistance Team. And sorry, I'm on the road in Lafourche Parish right now. I am part of a response team that deployed from Missouri to New Orleans to support the state and the local community in New Orleans and in surrounding parishes. And I've been providing updates in the media and otherwise about assistance provided so far and how people can get help. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Now we'll hear from Colonel Zachary Miller of the United States Corps of Engineers for a brief 2-minute presentation. Zach?
Thank you, Congressman and staff and the team at FEMA for inviting me to participate in this today. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has been on ground in the state of Louisiana since before landfall, providing a lot of services and capabilities to FEMA and to your constituents. I do want to focus just briefly on the Blue Roof program. As you mentioned, it is the single most important, impactful thing I think we're doing for all the people of this state right now. We have over 60,000 requests right now in 25 eligible parishes. This is already an enormous mission. It's probably going to wind up being the second largest mission the Corps of Engineers has ever done for Blue Roofs, behind only, of course, Hurricane Katrina. Anybody can sign up for this at blueroof.us, BLUEROOF.us, or you can call 888-ROOF-BLUE. That's 766-3258. This is a completely free service. It has no impact on your ability to claim insurance or anything else. And nobody will ask for any money for you from this. And it'll be installed by qualified, licensed construction crews that have been selected by the Corps of Engineers. The 30th of September is the last day for you to sign up for this. So if you do intend to do it, you need to call that number or go online and do it by the 30th of September. There's a lot of information out there on the web, but I'm also happy to answer any questions during this call today about the program. Thanks again for having me.
Thank you very much, Colonel Miller. Now it's time for questions. And our first question. Morgan Clevenger. Thank you, Congressman, for the roundtable and all the work that you're doing. Is there a question? That looks like that was a statement. Thank you very much. Shulan Miller. Shulan says, I was denied for the $500 assistance from FEMA. I called the 800 number, but they couldn't tell me why. I also visited a local help center and they couldn't tell me why either. Please advise.
Thank you, Congressman. This is Juan with FEMA. So in the first few days of a disaster, when it's something of this scale, FEMA offers a program called Critical Needs Assistance, in which people who identify themselves as having an immediate emergency, that is, they don't have access to food or water or their medicines, or they're had to evacuate from their homes, are provided with an upfront $500 before the rest of the evaluation has taken place. If you did not if you did not indicate that you had some sort of emergency when you first registered with FEMA, then you weren't awarded the critical needs assistance. And so that is likely what has happened in this case. There was no identification of an emergency need in that registration. That does not mean that you weren't being considered for all of the other programs that FEMA has authorized for this disaster. And so you should be working your case at disasterassistance.gov or by calling the 1-800 number to inform them of what needs you have so that we can look at what programs we have available and see what assistance can be awarded to you. Thank you, Congressman. I'm sorry, I can't hear you, sir.
I'm sorry. We're going to do one more question real fast, and we'll return to questions in a second. I understand one of the agencies has a brief slide presentation they'd like to do, but let's do this next question first, if that's okay. Tom Cruz asks, what are the requirements to qualify and be approved for critical needs?
So again, critical needs assistance is something that is determined when you first register with FEMA, in which case you identify an emergency need. That is, I am away from my home, I am without power, I have no access to, I do not have access to food or water or my medications, and that assistance is meant to help you cover an immediate need. If you did not indicate an immediate need in your registration, then you would not be considered for that. Going forward, however, you would be considered for any FEMA assistance that you might qualify for. So again, go to disasterassistance.gov, make sure we have your latest information, call the 800 number to ask any questions about your specific case. Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you very much. Is there a presentation that we may have skipped over that we can do now? Am I correct?
Carter, this is Sushil from the SBA. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. How are you? Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me, sir. My federal agency partners, appreciate you being on this particular presentation. Here we go. Got 2 minutes to share with you some information that I believe is very beneficial. Everybody be able to see my presentation?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So as most of you folks know, our program is not only for businesses and most nonprofits, it's also there for homeowners and renters. Basically, our program is the primary source of federal assistance to help private property owners pay for disaster losses not covered by insurance or other recoveries. So the very first step in this type of presidential declaration is to register with FEMA. There is a 56% probability, based on the numbers provided so far, that if you register, when you register with FEMA, that should refer it over to the SBA. At that point of time, you're expected to take extraordinary action. In other words, take the next step and potentially qualify for interest rates as low as 1.563% for personal property for both homeowners and renters, and $200,000 statutory limit for homeowners, okay? It's a cash flow loan, and on a case-by-case basis, we're able to refinance your mortgage. We can only, by law, just as FEMA, only cover uncompensated losses. And by the way, if your income doesn't qualify you, we're able to very simply refer you back to FEMA's other needs assistance, but you have to apply with the SBA. Now, in this world of SBA, very specifically, if you don't take action, that basically stops the recovery process. I want to make sure that this is within the world of SBA. In the world of FEMA, they'll speak about their program and share details with you. Here's a very insidious fact, and that is 1 in 5 businesses, if not more, close for the first 5 days of a disaster, such as this one, have a 90% probability of failure in the first year. So what we want to make sure is not only when you register with FEMA as a homeowner and as a renter, that you take the next action, apply with the SBA, find out, so we're able to send you back to the other needs assistance program administered by FEMA. If you qualify for an SBA loan, the initial safe, secure, sanitary condition grant is along with SBA's loan, takes care of the unmet needs created by the disaster. And most importantly, apply for economic injury disaster loan, because economic injury is very much a part of the overall disaster framework, if you will. 1 page for all of the contact information, regarding SBA. And with that, I return it back to you. I appreciate the opportunity to share with you briefly what we do. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Kumar, thank you so very much. And I apologize in my haste to get things moving. I neglected to bring you up for your presentation. So please forgive me for that. Thank you for that very valuable presentation and all of your great work.
Thank you, sir.
Next question from Kim Pride. I was a mandatory evacuee and I ended up staying in a shelter for 10 days. I signed up for FEMA, but never received any help. I am a renter and I produced all of the important paperwork and would like to know where I stand in the process.
Thank you, Congressman. So if you have provided the documentation, you should be receiving a decision letter that is either going to say what you've been allocated, what you've been awarded, or what additional information FEMA would need you to provide. So things that like your electric bill or something, just to confirm that you are the occupant of the place where you are claiming to have residency. There may be, if you have renter's insurance, there may be an insurance settlement or document that's also needed. So you should be receiving a follow-up message indicating, again, what you've been awarded and or what additional help or what additional information FEMA would like to see from you. If it's unclear to you after you receive that letter, again, call into the 800 number to speak to someone about your specific case. Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you very much. This is from Donna Schellingkamp. Donna, I hope I didn't butcher that too badly. I would like to know why FEMA and SBA bring in workers from other states to help fill applications when so many people here in Louisiana have talents and need employment.
Well, I can speak to that for FEMA's sake. We have people who are trained in our disaster management programs. As your folks will unfortunately see from time to time, it can be very complicated what folks are eligible for and what they are not. But in a major disaster like the one we are seeing here in response to Hurricane Ida, FEMA will be hiring local people to work the issue. We don't just come in for the first couple of weeks after a disaster. We are often here for at least 18 months, if not years after a disaster, working through all of the issues, not only with individuals, but with all the cities that have been impacted as well. And so we will be launching a local hire program. We'll be publicizing it with Louisiana's Office of Employment and providing that information so that people can seek a job with FEMA to work on Hurricane Ida recovery. Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you. Comment from Linda McGee. Thank you very much for your kind words. Next, Dawn Abear. Attempted to complete SBA application, but ran into a problem on the debt screen. I do not have a mortgage. System will not allow me to continue without any input in this field. How can I address this problem?
Congressman Carter, I responded to the young lady by asking her to call the 800 number or call me directly, because I'm not sure quite where she is on the screen, and I would be ill-advised to suggest something that may not be the remedy. So if you could have her call the 800 number, 659-2955, or my phone number, 916-878-1495, and I'll walk her through the scenario. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to go back just a half a second to the question that was posed by Ms. Schellingkamp. And I'm just going to double down on her comment because it's an issue that we deal with every storm. And I'm hoping that we do better this time and we do much better going forward to do everything that we can to utilize our local business people in the rebuild, whether it's for trash removal, debris removal, rebuilding of homes, establishing of whether it's trailers or rooftops or whatever, wherever possible. It certainly makes sense that if we have the talented workforce that's able to do the work, that at a minimum, they be able to sub with some of the prime contractors to be a part of not only the rebuild, but also the economy that comes with it. I've written a letter to the FEMA administrator. I've had this conversation with the president directly. I've had it with many of you. We'll continue to work on that. And let's just kind of put a pin there as a work in progress. Next question.
Congressman?
Yes,
May I piggyback briefly off your remarks?
please, absolutely.
SBA folks that are in the field as we speak, we've got 11 temporary disaster recovery centers in there. We have quite a few Louisiana natives, New Orleans residents, homeowners who are helping with the cause. So it's not just folks coming out of town. We're very much utilizing local folks who know the area to assist the needs of the many.
Fantastic. That's good information. Let's continue to build on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
We have
sir.
another question from, looks like Tom Cruise has another one for us. How do we get reimbursed for generators and chainsaws? Is fuel for the generators a reimbursable expense, temporary refrigeration, temporary water, and temporary water heaters?
Thank you, Congressman. So for Hurricane Ida survivors, FEMA is doing reimbursements for generators up to $800 and for chainsaws, purchases and rentals up to $250. There are some requirements. It has to be purchased after landfall through September 26th. You will apply for FEMA assistance, no separate application for generator reimbursement. You may receive a message saying you have not been approved or are not being referred to the IHP program. We need additional information. So there is no place when you first register to upload your receipts, for example, for your chainsaws. You'll be directed saying we need further information. So when you receive that message, again, it is not a message that you have been denied. It's just a message that FEMA needs additional information. You can create an account at disasterassistance.gov and upload your receipts for both generators and chainsaws. It is a manual review process. The receipts need to include whenever you upload anything to FEMA, you should include your FEMA registration number as part of that as well. FEMA is reviewing each case by case for the generators and chainsaws reimbursement, but you will see that those monies have already begun to flow out. Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you very much. Jamal Mitchell. Doesn't seem like the main website has much information for us to fill out. It seems like you just apply and they will get back with you. How do we monitor the process and progress of our applications?
Thank you, Congressman. As you were saying, as I was just saying, you're right. When you first, we're trying to capture a little bit of information about you when you first register, what the location of your home, what damages you can report at that point. But a lot of people evacuated, for example, when they first registered, they were at a shelter when they first registered, and they don't know all the damages when they get back to their home. So the first thing is just to capture this, to get you entered into the system. You can go back to disasterassistance.gov, set up your own account, which will allow you to update us with information on the damages that you found when you returned home, upload things like receipts, and you will actually be able to see, you can choose whether to receive your messages online or receive them in the US mail. If you choose online, you'll be able to see the messages, the letters that we are sending to you and asking for more information. So create an account at disasterassistance.gov. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Earl Malawson wants to know, are there SBA available loans for people, for homeowners without damages to their home, but would like to improve their hurricane readiness?
Mitigation dollars are available, but if you have no damages, unfortunately, the program is not meant to assist for home improvement. The idea is to take your home back to its original condition prior to the disaster.
Okay. Angela Fuller would like to know, who is eligible for the refund of the purchase of generators?
Sorry, this is Juan with with FEMA again. So people who live within the 25 parishes that have been declared for individual assistance may be eligible for reimbursement of generators and chainsaws. You'll need to provide a receipt as we've stated, stipulate that you've been without power. If it's for a chainsaw, you'll need to stipulate that you needed the chainsaw in order to open up access for your home and or because of a safety hazard. Trying to think, 25 parishes. I think that those are the key components of people who are eligible for assistance. Sometimes in previous disasters, we've required proof of a medical need for the generator, for example. For Hurricane Ida survivors, that proof is not necessary. Thank you, Congressman.
Very good. Gwendolyn Lee wants to know, what is the September 22nd deadline for?
I'm really glad you brought that up, Congressman, because that deadline is for new people to register to be considered for critical needs assistance. It's not a separate application. If you have already registered, you don't need to try to go back and re-register. This is only, as I said, critical needs assistance is something that FEMA provides in the first few days of a disaster, when people tend to be forced from their homes, when there are immediate needs for, again, food, water, medicine, for example. That tends to expire after the first 10 days of a disaster recovery. Congressman Carter and his colleagues reached out to FEMA and asked for that to be extended. There were a number of people who were away from their homes, some still struggling to get back to their homes now. And so the deadline for that was extended until September 22nd. So that is for people who first register for FEMA to be considered. The actual registration deadline for FEMA assistance for Hurricane Ida survivors is October 28th for all programs. I hope that answers the questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Denise Dowell asked, can you please repeat the number for SBA? I see you put it in a link, but Mr. Kumar, if you can just say it again for the people who may be seeing this in a recording, repeat the number for SBA.
Of course, sir. 1-800-659-2955. And again, 1-800-659-2955. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Morgan Clevenger wants to know, please make sure the SBA reps have laptops or computers to assist citizens in filling out applications at recovery sites, which is a good point. Everyone doesn't have access. Even those who may be back in power may not be familiar or comfortable with computers. So it's helpful for all of our on-the-ground troops to have access to computers with Wi-Fi to assist those who may need assistance.
And by the way, Congressman, all of our facilities around town that we opened up, 11 of them in various parishes, most of them in your constituency, all have computers, Wi-Fi, so that we can help the needs of the many.
Excellent. Geneva Coleman, thank you, Congressman, for all of your efforts and help small businesses thrive and grow. Would you share the information in your September 8th, 2021 letter regarding contracting efforts for local, minority, and veteran-owned businesses post-Ida? Also, are the requirements. As you know, we forwarded that letter to the FEMA administrator. We had this conversation with the president directly, all of which has been met with open arms as to working with the governor's office, local parish presidents and mayors to create and encourage the strict following of the Stafford Act as a suggestion of using DBE enterprises to participate. I'll have a more in-depth update on that, hopefully sometimes midweek, as to where we are with that and what the next steps are. But thank you for the question. It is certainly something that we will continue to work on. And as it relates to blue roofs, we do have Colonel Zach Miller on with us, and maybe, Colonel, maybe you can address some of that from your procurement and work side of the house.
Yeah, I'd be happy to, Congressman. Thanks. This is actually a rather complicated process, as you might imagine, to take in 60,000, maybe up to 70,000 requests, assess all of these homes, and then put the roofs on them. And one of the things that we do to try to make sure we can do it as quickly as possible is we do pre-award some contracts to larger, they're actually small businesses. And in fact, most of them this year are veteran-owned or service-disabled businesses, but they are pre-awarded so that they can be mobilized before the storm and ready to go. They, of course, accomplish all of their work through subcontractors for many levels down. And one of the requirements of them is to try to get as much local labor as possible. And they have, in fact, done that. I know all of the subs that have been, the first tier subcontractors are Louisiana businesses. And these companies are incentivized to get these roofs on as fast as they can. Monetarily, they're incentivized. And so they will hire as many qualified crews from as many qualified construction companies as possible. And local labor is, of course, what they want. Y'all are all aware of the issue with housing and everything else that goes with having a large responder population come in. And so I'm very proud of those subcontractors and contractors for doing as much as they have to hire local labor. If anybody out there knows of construction companies or folks that could have people that could contribute to this effort that are not yet involved, I urge you to go to the website, the blueroof.us website. We actually have the contact information on there for the prime contractors. They can email them directly and give them their business name to get hooked up with them and get to work. Thanks.
And Colonel Miller, to be clear, we have 4 prime contractors. Is that what you said?
We currently have 3 prime contractors that are actually delivering the roofs. And then we have another prime contractor who is responsible for capturing images of all of the applicants so that we can make an assessment, a remote assessment, without actually having to come to the homes. And those 3 prime contractors right now there are literally thousands, there are hundreds of crews and thousands of individuals that are out there right now. Obviously, weather plays a role in this, but they can always take on more. There's no, technical limit to the number of folks they can have working for them.
Well, what I'm going to work with you off camera with is to kind of become a little more the middleman. When we just send a regular constituent out of the blue to a prime, oftentimes they're not met with the ease of access that you might imagine. Oftentimes they're run through the ringer of paperwork and bureaucracy. Many times they become a sub to the sub of a sub of a sub and get pennies on the dollar for doing the bulk of the work. We cannot have that happen. I understand if we have a prime, we're going to have subs, but we can't have subs that funnel so far down to the bottom of a sub list that there's no profit left in the work, but they end up doing the bulk of the work. And then to add insult to injury, Colonel, many of those people months later go without being paid, and then they're offered pennies on the dollar just to settle a case. We know that this has happened in the past. We have to learn from the mistakes of Katrina and other storms. I know you guys are working your tails off, but let's work together on trying to kind of create a better linkage between the prime and the sub, and not just a simple phone call of asking for work that generally just doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely, Congressman. I appreciate those thoughts, and we will absolutely work directly with you to make sure all of those goals you just articulated are accomplished.
Thank you, sir. Gene Nathan wants to know, it does not make sense to only pay for generators after the storm. It takes time for permitting and putting one in. It recently took 3 months to get a generator permit.
Thank you very much, Congressman. So FEMA's assistance is meant to be in response to a federally declared disaster and its impact. These are federal tax dollars being provided as a grant, not a loan, and we are unable to provide reimbursement for generators that were purchased before the disaster was declared. Again, these are funds meant to help in the aftermath of a disaster. And so generators purchased beforehand would not be eligible for reimbursement. Thank you.
And also, if a person was putting in a whole home generator, I think that's where permits and those things are required. Is that correct? Versus a temporary generator?
Sir, I can't speak to the local ordinances, but it sounds like that would be the case.
Fair enough. Deborah Gould, questions directed to each of the federal organizations for their responses. Are there contracting opportunities for professional services as small businesses in New Orleans, i.e., community outreach, logistics, event planning, strategic planning, etc.? Deborah Gould and Associates, Inc. Contact information is www.gouldassociates.com. So if you can answer the questions about contracting opportunities for professional services and small businesses in New Orleans, specific in those areas of community outreach, logistic, event planning, and strategic planning.
Thank you, sir. So a great deal of what is taking place in the recovery efforts are based on the decisions and budgets of parish governments and city governments, and of course the state government. FEMA's role is to reimburse those entities for funds used in the recovery efforts. And so much of the recovery work, especially at the community level, is managed, contracted, and directed by local authorities and at times by the state. And then they get back to FEMA for reimbursement of those funds as long as they follow the correct federal contracting guidelines. But there is some work to be done, but I think in the specific areas raised, that's much more likely to be done at the parish level. Thank you.
Thank you. Don Aber would like you to post SBA and FEMA contact information numbers in the chat box, including technical problems number with FEMA. In addition to putting in the chat box, I'm going to ask SBA and FEMA to verbally share those numbers and contact information again, because this is being recorded and will be rebroadcast at a later date for others to be able to utilize. So having as much information readily available will be certainly more advantageous to our constituents.
Congressman, on the SBA side, it's 1-800-659-2955. Again, 1-800-659-2955. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. And on the FEMA side, it is 1-800-621-3362 and disasterassistance.gov. Gil or Cindy, would you care to share an additional contact information numbers that might be useful? And for
Yes,
what they're
thank you,
for?
Juan. Appreciate that. To reach a mitigation specialist to help you with retrofit, repair, and rebuild, please call 833-336-2487. Again, that number is 833-336-2487. And I have posted in the chat the information on where you can find our web link, as well as in English as well as in Spanish. Thank you.
Congressman?
Good afternoon. I have another number for you for those of you who have flood insurance. It's the FEMA Insurance and Mapping Exchange number. You will actually speak to an insurance specialist to answer questions in regards to your flood insurance claims through the National Flood Insurance Program. That phone number is going to be 1-877-336-2627. Once again, that is for FEMA's Mapping and Insurance Exchange for those who have flood insurance policies through the National Flood Insurance Program. Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you very much.
And Congressman?
Yes, sir.
This is where I would like to encourage all folks who are watching, listening, and interacting with us to take advantage of our staff members who are out on those temporary disaster recovery centers for anything technical. You know, use our folks out there who are waiting to have your questions answered. Register with FEMA, apply with the SBA, and then have those questions, those technical questions that you're getting into, answered. And the list of them, I'm sure your office has it. If not, I'll be glad to provide it one more time.
Thank you very much. That's a great point. Thank you. Angela Fuller wants to know, will SBA give a person a loan if they're retired and they have a fixed income?
Like all lenders, we are not by law allowed to discriminate based on age or income. So everyone that's been affected by this insidious disaster is encouraged to register with FEMA and apply with the SBA and find out what they're eligible for in terms of grants and low interest rate disaster loans. Thank you.
And also for the listening audience, anyone having any questions and you run into any snags with any of the agencies or any of the issues of reaching via phone or computer, you can always reach our office. Our congressional staff is ready to assist at 504-288-3777. Again, that's 504-288-3777, and we will do everything in our power to assist and connect you with the appropriate individual and or agency to assist. I'd also encourage you to follow us on our social media feeds at Rep Troy Carter. That's at Rep Troy Carter. We have regular updates daily. We have a newsletter you can sign up for that will give you important information, contact, and other resources in real time. So that's at Rep Troy Carter. Next question is from Linda McGee. Do you have to wait for a letter of rejection, a letter or rejection from FEMA for your insurance, from your insurance company to apply for SBA loan or grant?
No, Linda, you do not. And basically, this is where the assignment of insurance proceeds come into play. So if you have a claim with the insurance company, the SBA will ask you who your insurance agent is, where you are in the grand scheme of things. And once your settlement is final, what will happen is we will increase your loan amount by the amount of what you're getting back from the insurance company, thereby mitigating the need to wait for it. But please don't wait for your settlement to be final. Apply with the SBA after you register with FEMA and find out what you qualify for, and then we can easily add the portion that the insurance company is sending. They'll pay us down with no prepayment penalty, and the end result is the same. That is, you get to borrow the sums of money that insurance doesn't cover. But in the meantime, it gives you that peace of mind that you're not waiting for that check in the mail. Oh my God, my mailbox is destroyed. I don't know where I'm going to get my mail from, so on and so forth. So when you walk into the Disaster Recovery Center, or the temporary one that we're referring to as, please let them know that you're interested in the assignment of insurance proceeds portion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Donna Schellenkamp would like to have SBA provide to our office that I can make available to the general public. The people in Louisiana, how many of them are local, that are being hired? Ever since COVID, thousands of people in the hospitality industry have been unemployed. We have lots of people who are qualified and would greatly appreciate the opportunity to work and be a part of the recovery. The question being, can you guys compile a list to let us know by percentage how many people are coming from Louisiana? We don't necessarily need to know their names, just to know categories.
Be glad to, sir. I'll send an email to my management team and ask them to provide us that list and pass it on to you, sir.
And if we can do the same with FEMA, that would be great.
Understood, sir.
Morgan Clevenger asked, can FEMA revise eligibility to include removal of downed trees on properties and remove, repair, rebuild, or downed fences? Currently, FEMA only considers eligible trees blocking access to a dwelling. Insurance deductibles are so high, these expenses are often not covered or accessible.
Thank you, Congressman. FEMA assistance is meant to help people stay in their homes that are safe, sanitary, and secure. FEMA assistance, as I mentioned before, are grants. These are not loans. You don't have to pay them back, and they are taxpayer funded. And so FEMA's assistance is only meant to make sure that you have enough to make sure that your home is safe, sanitary, and secure. If you have other needs such as fencing, needs for your guest bedroom, for example. So when FEMA is looking at your case, if you've got a 3-bedroom house, but you live there alone, FEMA assistance is only may be available to help you with 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and your living areas. So your guest bedrooms are not going to be covered by FEMA grant assistance because they're not necessary for you to maintain staying in your home. However, that is why we refer people to the Small Business Administration, because they can help cover things that FEMA grant assistance is not available to cover. And so that is why we strongly recommend for a number of people who apply that they seek that they apply with the Small Business Administration to see if they may qualify for additional funds beyond what FEMA is able to provide to them. And Sushil perhaps could speak more to that. Thank you, sir.
Congressman, would you like me to add to that or answer that at a later stage?
No, yes, that's fine if you can now.
Okay, so as Juan said, our program is meant to take care of the underinsured and uninsured. The way Congress set up our programs to work in unison is that FEMA's role as an agency for grant-based functioning is on the initial end, safe, secure, sanitary condition. The augmentation of our program is really repairs, recovery, rehabilitation, not only for personal property, but also, so that would be renters and homeowners, but also damages to the residents. $40,000 for personal property for both homeowner and renter, including automobiles, and then damages to your home. So substantially damaged homes, if you have the certain criteria met, we can also refinance those portions and with interest rates as low as 1.563%. Now, the same thing on the business side. FEMA does not have a business lending program. Those funds come from us, our agency, maximum $2 million for economic injury and a combination of economic injury and physical damages. And also for churches of places of worship, churches, things along those lines for most nonprofit. So between our loan program and FEMA's initial safe, secure, sanitary condition is predicated that the needs of the many have been taken care of. If we are not able to help, we refer you back as a turn down condition, turn you back to FEMA's other needs assistance. But you have to have applied with us and be turned down to qualify for that program that is credit contingent from FEMA.
Thank you. Marlene Drake, my router for the computer died when the power returned. Any compensation for that?
As the router is not necessary in order to maintain a safe, sanitary, or secure home, that would not be eligible for FEMA assistance, but it may be eligible for SBA coverage.
Shishio?
In terms of generators, my initial response is please apply. And
Oh, this is not a, I'm sorry, this is not a generator. This is our computer router.
oh no, sir, computer route, if she wants to use it and her computer router got destroyed in the disaster, yeah, she can claim that as personal property, of course.
Okay. Serena Terry. Thank you, Congressman. Can you advise what, if anything, is being done to assist homeowners whose insurance carriers are denying loss of use of home and hotel reimbursement?
So for those who are being denied by their insurance company for coverage for the temporary lodging, there is assistance available via FEMA. You would need to, again, upload your insurance denial statement from your insurance company, and that may make you eligible for lodging expense reimbursement, which is you would then submit the receipts for hotel expenses related specifically to the hotel, not anything extra, not the minibar, not food, not movies, for example. And you may be determined to be eligible for reimbursement for those lodging expenses. In addition, we have got a couple of different programs that have been activated for those folks who cannot return home. They may have been, they would have been contacted and told that they are eligible for transitional sheltering assistance, which allows for FEMA to directly pay a hotel where they register that as long as it is a part of the system and they register through FEMA. And then, of course, there is rental assistance that is available for people who cannot be in their home due to damages. And that would pay you, the initial payment is 2 months worth of rent. The idea being that you could pay for your first month and make a deposit on a place where you can rent until you were able to return to your home. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Donna Schellenkamp, will this Zoom be recorded so someone that did not get a chance to watch can see it at a later date? Yes, that it is going to be. It is being recorded. Yes, it will be rebroadcast and available on our website for further reviewing. Linda McGee, thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words. Ms. McGee, thank you. Our staff appreciates it as well. No Regus. We, a small business restaurant, would like to help bring back visa workers from Burma to help us continue our business and train our local staff. Is there any way we can receive help with bringing a visa working? I ask because our Burmese, because we operate a Burmese restaurant, rather.
I'm afraid I cannot speak to this issue as far as visas.
Anyone on the call comfortable answering that? If not, Mr. or Mrs. Regus, we will if you would put your phone number in the chat for us, our staff will get back with you with an appropriate answer in ways that we can help. Deborah Gould asked, who are the 3 prime contractors, including contact info for the 1 prime responsible for imaging?
Congressman, I've put into the chat the names and the email addresses for the prime contractors, the names of the Barlavento, Swan, and Venegas. Additionally, if again on the blueroof.us, there are those links are there as well if you can't have access to the chat.
Thank you very much. Morgan Clevenger asked, Ray, blue roofs and tarps. Right now, tarps are the most requested item, especially as we've had so much rain that is increasing the damage to our homes. I'm getting calls every day from seniors, handicapped, and limited resources, folks looking for tarps. While the installation of tarps is important, many can get someone to install even temporarily until a more permanent one can be done, but they need the tarps. These are also folks who cannot get in long lines at distribution sites. Can we increase accessibility and distribution of tarps throughout the affected areas?
Yeah, I got a two-part answer to that, Congressman. First, I would say the constituent is absolutely right. You have to do everything you can to protect your property, whether that's put a temporary tarp on there, the roof install, or anything you can do, obviously, because once the damage is done, you can't undo it, obviously. The state, through their points of distribution, and the National Guard, have distributed more small tarps than in the history of any other event in the history of the state. It's something like 200 or 250,000 tarps. Those points of distribution are still open. They're reconsolidating them on the places that need them the most. It looks like this questioner might be from a local city council. The best way to get those tarps to the places you want them within your parish is to have your parish emergency operations center communicate with GOSEP, with the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness, through the means they have to make sure that they make them available. I'd also like to point out that there are a lot of volunteer organizations involved in disaster response in the state right now. And there's a lot of different ways to get in touch with them. If you don't just see them, if you can't see it on their websites, the Volunteer Louisiana and the Lieutenant Governor's Office, who is overseeing volunteerism in the state, also can have information that can help you get in contact with volunteers who can install temporary means, safely on the roof if it's somebody who can't get up there.
Okay, we are coming close to the top of the hour. This is a 1 hour event. However, we will do more. I'm going to roll through as many questions as we can. We've got about 6 minutes left before the bewitching hour. I want to just take this second to thank everyone, all the participants, all of our agency heads. We know that everyone's working around the clock to try and provide resources. I know that it's a daunting task for all involved, those who are in need and those who are providing needs. We greatly appreciate you. Tonya Moore asked a question. Well, I'm sorry. Celeste Terry asked that and I'm going to do it just because redundancy helps to make sure everyone has access. Ms. Terry asked that we once again say the SBA phone number.
1-800-659-2955. Please take advantage of our presence in the localities which are currently open. 1-800-659-2955. Thanks for the question again.
Thank you very much. Tonya Moore has a good question. She says, I'm still paying previous SBA disaster loans. Am I eligible for another, or can they all be combined?
They cannot be combined. We appreciate your payment because that payment history in this case, but that goes a long way towards your eligibility for the new loan. But no, they cannot be combined, unfortunately.
But is a person still eligible for another loan even though they have an outstanding one?
Yes, sir. I apologize for missing that part very much. So they're very much eligible, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. No, Regus, can you share the options for loans, grants, or any chance of loan forgiveness for businesses and or individual? I will tell you before any of them answer, I have requested and will continue to request that relief be given to people in Louisiana for past SBA loans, for past road home grants. We know that we keep having these natural disasters and we keep getting inundated with more and more debt in our relief. And as I've mentioned to all of the appropriate agency heads, including the president, we offer resources to help small countries rebound. Certainly, we should offer forgiveness for Americans to rebound from past SBA loans, past road home remediation grants and loans to assist them going forward. So if someone wants to answer on top of that, feel free to, please. right. Gwendolyn Lee asks, she not an ask. She's saying, "Thank you, Congressman Carter and representatives of FEMA and SBA for your time and providing resources." Thank you, Ms. Lee. Next, we have Crystal Milton. Is FEMA going to do trailers for people who've lost their homes?
This is Juan again with FEMA. So there has not been a final determination on what housing options will be made available. What we have available right now is rental assistance and transitional shelter assistance. So you don't have to stay in a home that is unsafe, unsanitary, unsecure. You can take advantage of those programs now. Once a final housing program has been decided, what is going to move forward, you will not need to reapply for that situation. We will review everyone's situation and will then make a determination on who is eligible for trailers or whatever housing options we have. We'll contact those families to begin working through that process. I would like to encourage folks here in the last minute to remember to keep FEMA updated on your situation, to make sure you have let us know if you are dealing with any disability or if there's a disabled person in your household. And as your situation changes, you found more damage, those sort of things. So please keep your account updated at disasterassistance.gov and make sure FEMA is aware of your current situation. Thank you, Congressman.
I'm going to try and squeeze a couple answers. Give me real quick answers if we can. And if there's only one person that give it, we don't have multiple ones, just to make sure. Kevin Bastian asked, "My insurance company stated that I did not meet my $13,000 deductible. What is the next step for FEMA/SBA? I will receive no assistance from my insurance company, it appears."
So from FEMA's perspective, by law, we cannot duplicate any benefits that an insurance company will pay you. But if that example, because you cannot pay your deductible, there will be no insurance benefits paid to you. So you would still be eligible for FEMA assistance depending on how much we determine you are eligible to receive. So you would need to, again, upload the insurance documentation into your account so that we can see that that the damages we have verified are below your deductible and you will not be receiving any insurance benefits. And then we can proceed with paying out what FEMA has found you to be eligible for.
Great. So those people who have not met their deductibles, you are still eligible for FEMA to get resources. Gene Nathan, real quickly, has there been any consideration providing generators on a district or neighborhood basis in a public facility to offer emergency power, especially for people with special needs?
That is a matter for local jurisdictions to seek FEMA reimbursement for mitigation and preparation efforts and for reimbursement for life-saving measures they took in the immediate response to a disaster. And that will be worked through the state of Louisiana up to FEMA.
Okay, Celeste Terry would like to know what agency would help with mold removal and mitigation?
So there is, as a result of this disaster, some mold remediation assistance available through FEMA. So in your FEMA application and in your disasterassistance.gov, please indicate that you have mold that is related to this disaster. You will be receiving a call from an inspector to have someone review the damages to your home, and we'd like you to identify that at that time. Thank you, sir.
I'm going to do two more questions real fast. Are hurricane insurance deductibles covered under SBA loans?
Yes, sir, very much so.
All right. From Linda, denied $500 from FEMA, visited her doctor and told due to no electricity for several days, her insulin, which needed refrigeration, is no longer viable. Can she file for reimbursement for the insulin that was spoiled?
She should contact FEMA to go through the specifics of her case to see if there is any eligibility for her medical related expenses.
Okay, one last question. A resident, this is from Deborah Chapman, a resident received major damage but did not have content insurance. Are they eligible for FEMA assistance for personal property?
FEMA's coverage of personal property is very limited. However, they would likely be referred to the SBA for a disaster loan possibility, in which case that might be covered. If they are denied for an SBA loan, they may be considered for further, there may be more personal property that could be covered through FEMA, but they would need to go through the SBA process first to confirm.
Totally concur. Register with FEMA, apply with the SBA, and up to $40,000, including automobiles.
All right, well, listen, thank you all very much. There's several other questions in the chat that unfortunately time will not allow us to get to, but we will be hosting more of these town hall events to bring our resources to your living room through this Zoom platform to make it easier to gain access. In the interim, for anybody who has questions that did not get answered today, please feel free to contact our office at 504-288-3777 or any of the individual phone numbers or email addresses that the agency had shared with you through the link and or verbally on this call. Please know that we are vigilant, we're on the ground, we feel your pain, and we are here to help. So any and everything that we can do through these platforms, we will. We'll continue to meet you on the street, meet you on Zoom, meet you in the grocery, meet you in church to make sure that every resource that we can possibly get will be made available to lessen the pain that we're all are feeling due to this hurricane. So to my staff, to all of the agency representatives, and to all of you, the constituents of LAO2 and the state of Louisiana, we thank you for joining in today and look forward to visiting with you on our next town hall experience. God bless you all and go Saints.
Who dat? Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.